Captain Aria Chen stood at the viewport of Nexus Station, her dark eyes scanning the star-speckled void. The station hung in space like a gleaming spiderweb, its delicate-looking strands belying the incredible strength of its nanomaterial construction. It was humanity's proudest achievement in this sector of the galaxy, a hub of commerce, diplomacy, and scientific research. But now, it was about to become a battleground. Status report, Aria barked, turning to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Commander Rashid Khan. Rashid's fingers danced over his holographic display. The Zar'koth fleet will arrive in approximately 6 hours, Captain. Their numbers, they're beyond anything we've ever encountered. Aria's jaw clenched. The Zar'koth, a species as ancient as they were arrogant. They'd stumbled upon humanity's fledgling interstellar civilization and decided that these primitive apes had no place among the stars. Now, they were coming to wipe Nexus Station off the cosmic map. What about reinforcements? Aria asked, though she already knew the answer. Rashid shook his head. The nearest battle group is 3 days out, Captain. We're on our own. Aria nodded, her mind racing. Nexus Station housed over 10,000 civilians, scientists, diplomats, and their families. Evacuation wasn't an option. There weren't enough ships to get everyone out in time. They had to make a stand. All right, she said, her voice steady despite the weight settling on her shoulders. Let's show these Zar'koth what humanity is made of. Rashid, I want every civilian with relevant skills put to work. Engineers, programmers, hell, even the kids who are good at video games. We're going to need every ounce of human ingenuity we can muster. As Rashid hurried off to carry out her orders, Aria turned back to the viewport. Out there, an alien armada was bearing down on them, confident in their superior technology and numbers. But they didn't understand humans. They didn't know about the Apollo missions or D-Day, or the countless times throughout history when humanity had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. A grim smile played across Aria's lips. The Zar'koth were in for one hell of a surprise. Dr. Aria Voss cursed as she soldered another connection in place. Around her, the station's main laboratory was a hive of frenzied activity. Scientists from every discipline were working together, breaking down barriers between fields in ways that would make their stodgy old professors weep. "How's it coming, Doc?" a voice called out. Aria looked up to see Captain Chun striding into the lab, her presence immediately commanding attention. Aria straightened, wincing as her back protested. She'd been hunched over her work for hours. "We're making progress, Captain. We've managed to repurpose the station's quantum entanglement array. If this works, we should be able to create a localized field that will disrupt the Zar'koth's faster-than-light drives." Aria's eyebrows shot up. "You can do that?" Aria allowed herself a small, fierce grin. "In theory. It's never been done before, but desperate times, right?" The captain nodded, a spark of hope igniting in her eyes. "Keep it a doctor. Every advantage we can get counts." As Aria moved on to check on other projects, Aria turned back to her work. Her hands were steady, but her mind was racing. What they were attempting pushed the boundaries of known physics. If they succeeded, it would revolutionize space warfare. If they failed, well, they'd all be too dead to worry about it. Across the lab, a team of engineers was modifying the station's shield generators, trying to tune them to the specific frequency of Zar'koth weapons. In another corner, xenobiologists pored over what little data they had on Zar'koth physiology, searching for any weakness they could exploit. And everywhere, there was an electric atmosphere of determination. These were some of the brightest minds humanity had to offer, and they were not going down without a fight. In the station's central hub, Lieutenant Commander Khan was overseeing a very different kind of preparation. Civilians of all ages were gathered around banks of computers, their fingers flying over keyboards and touchscreens. "All right, listen up," Rashid called out, his voice cutting through the chatter. "I know most of you have never seen combat outside of a video game, but right now, those skills might just save all our lives." He gestured to the screens around them, where complex simulations of space battles played out. The Zar'koth rely heavily on automated systems for their ship-to-ship combat. We've managed to hack into some of their training simulations. Your job is to analyze their tactics, find patterns, and help our defense systems predict their moves. A young woman raised her hand, her face pale but determined. But we're just civilians. How can we possibly outsmart an alien military? Rashid's face softened. Because you're human. We adapt. We improvise. And right now, we have something the Zar'koth don't expect. Thousands of creative minds working together. Now, let's show these aliens why you don't underestimate humanity. A cheer went up from the crowd, and they turned to their tasks with renewed vigor. Rashid watched them for a moment, pride swelling in his chest. He'd seen hardened soldiers with less courage than these civilians were showing. As he turned to leave, his comm unit chirped. "Khan here," he answered. Captain Chen's voice came through, tense but controlled. "Rashid, get to the command center. The Zar'koth just dropped out of FTL. They'll be in weapons range in 30 minutes. Rashid's heart rate spiked, but his voice remained steady. "On my way, Captain." As he jogged towards the command center, Rashid found himself reciting an old Earth prayer under his breath. They were about to face an enemy with overwhelmingly superior numbers and technology. By any rational calculation, Nexus Station was doomed. But Rashid had long since learned that when it came to humans, rational calculations often missed a crucial factor: sheer, stubborn determination. The battle for Nexus Station was about to begin. Captain Aria Chen stood at the center of Nexus Station's command center, her posture rigid as she watched the holographic display. The Zar'koth fleet materialized at the edge of the system. Hundreds of sleek, predatory ships that gleamed like polished obsidian against the backdrop of space. "All hands, battle stations," Aria commanded, her voice echoing throughout the station. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." Klaxons blared as the station's inhabitants rushed to their assigned posts. In the labs, Dr. Alara Voss and her team worked feverishly to complete their makeshift quantum disruptor. In the central hub, civilian analysts pored over data streams, searching for patterns in the Zar'koth's movements. "Captain," Rashid called out, his eyes fixed on his console, "we're picking up a transmission from the Zar'koth fleet." Aria nodded grimly. "Put it through." Aria nodded grimly. "Put it through." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the alien visage of the Zar'koth commander. Its iridescent scales shimmered in the light of its ship, for black eyes regarding Aria with cold disdain. "Humans of Nexus Station," the alien's voice rasped through the translator. "Your presence in this sector is an affront to the natural order. Surrender now, and we may grant you a swift death." Aria's eyes narrowed. "This is Captain Aria Chen of the United Earth Federation. Nexus Station is a civilian research outpost, protected under galactic law. Any hostile action against us will be considered an act of war." The Zar'koth commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Laws? You speak of laws to us? We were sailing the stars when your kind were still huddling in caves. You have no place here, little ape. Prepare to be eradicated." The transmission cut off abruptly. Aria turned to her crew, her voice steady despite the fury burning in her eyes. "Well, you heard the overgrown lizard. Let's show them exactly what these little apes can do." As if on cue, the first barrage of Zar'koth weapons fire streaked towards the station. The shield generators hummed to life, their frequencies adjusted thanks to the tireless work of the engineering team. The incoming plasma bolts splashed harmlessly against the barrier, dissipating in brilliant flares of light. "Shields holding at 92%, Rashid reported, a note of surprise in his voice. The modifications worked. A cheer went up from the command crew, but Aria knew this was just the beginning. "Don't celebrate yet," she warned. "They're just testing us. Launch our defensive drones." Outside the station, swarms of small, agile drones deployed from hidden bays. These were not ordinary defense units. They had been reprogrammed on the fly by the civilian gamers, their attack patterns now unpredictable and eerily intelligent. They darted between the approaching Zar'koth fighters, unleashing precise bursts of energy that overwhelmed the alien shields. In the Zar'koth command ship, confusion reigned. Their initial scans had shown Nexus Station to be lightly defended, an easy target. Now, faced with shields that shrugged off their most powerful weapons and drones that moved with impossible agility, the aliens found themselves on the back foot. Back on Nexus Station, Dr. Aria Voss burst into the command center, her lab coat singed and her hair wild. "Captain, the quantum disruptor is ready." Aria's eyes lit up. "Excellent work, Doctor. Rashid, target their lead ships and fire when ready." The station hummed as power was diverted to the hastily constructed device. A beam of shimmering energy lanced out, enveloping the nearest Zar'koth cruisers. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a flash of light that momentarily blinded the station's sensors, the affected ships simply vanished. "Holy shit," someone whispered in the sudden silence. Rashid's console beeped urgently. "Captain, I'm picking up the missing ships. They've been thrown halfway across the system, their FTL drives completely fried." A fierce grin spread across Aria's face. "Now that's what I call a game changer. Rotate the disruptor's frequency and target the next wave. Let's see how the Zar'koth like being the ones outgunned and outmaneuvered." As the battle raged on, the tides began to turn. The Zar'koth's superior numbers meant little when their ships were being scattered across space, their sophisticated targeting systems befuddled by the erratic movements of the human-controlled drones. Hours passed, the conflict raging with an intensity that would be studied in military academies for generations to come. Nexus Station took hits, its shields flickering dangerously at times, but the brave souls inside never wavered. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the remaining Zar'koth ships began to retreat. Their once mighty armada was in tatters, more than half their ships either destroyed or stranded without FTL capabilities. In the command center of Nexus Station, exhausted but triumphant faces looked to Captain Aria Chen. She stood tall, her uniform scorched and her hair matted with sweat, but her eyes shining with fierce pride. "Send a message to Earth," she ordered, her voice hoarse but unwavering. "Nexus Station stands, humanity stands, and let every race in the galaxy know, underestimate us at your peril." As the cheers of victory echoed through the station, Aria allowed herself a small smile. They had done the impossible today, combining the brilliance of their scientists, the skills of civilians, and the courage of every soul on board to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. The Zar'koth had come expecting to find an easy target, a primitive species unworthy of the stars. Instead, they had learned a lesson as old as humanity itself. There is nothing more dangerous than a species with its back against the wall, armed with ingenuity, determination, and the unshakable will to survive. Nexus Station's victory would echo across the galaxy, a testament to human tenacity and a warning to any who might threaten Earth and its colonies. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were here to stay.